guess I will start a little early. All right. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Chiefsman's Corner Live. I am your host, one of the commissioners of the WFL, Coach Winuvas of the New Orleans Saints. This week we will be talking about stats from Week 9 games, and luckily we had quite a lot of activity this week, which makes me very happy and leadership in general happy. We'll then move on to a too early to look, but we will anyway, playoff picture, and then finish off with my NFC and AFC players of the podcast. Before we hit the stats, though, we'll do a quick bit of housekeeping notes. Hopefully, we'll have some listeners tuning in live. If you're here, welcome aboard and thanks for listening. I am running a little bit earlier tonight because I know I usually run these at 10 o'clock, but I am feeling the day today, so I'm trying to get done with it as soon as I possibly can. I'm actually doing some editing on the fly here. But if you are live, appreciate you listening. And whenever you ask any questions at all, I will be sure to answer them as soon as I possibly can. I'm actually putting the chat in there right now so that way I can kind of pseudo see it a little bit. But on this podcast, we will be doing the playoff picture. We'll be doing Week 9, and we'll be doing our NFC, AFC players of the podcast. Hopefully wrap it up kind of quick. Programming note, I will say we will not be having a live show next Wednesday. It will be rescheduled for Thursday because I will be out of town next Wednesday and won't be anywhere near my laptop or streaming equipment. I'll actually be on the coast losing money at a casino, so just a heads up, we will not have a show next Wednesday. It will be next Thursday. So if you're watching this live or if you're watching the recording of it, you'll hopefully know that Chiefman's Corner episode 4 will still occur. It'll just be on a Thursday instead of the normal Wednesday. If you're watching the recording of this, appreciate you watching the recording of it. If you hear my cats in the background because they are running rampant because apparently it's late at night, they're playing. Sorry, it's just part of a live environment in my show and my stuff. We do have some housekeeping notes I want to go over, and it's the same thing I've been mentioning in the last couple of shows. Want to talk about the incentive plan again for the WFL. This plan allows you to get some perks that aren't available for every member simply by doing some extracurricular activities that involve WFL, whether it's commenting or participating on the show, whether it's doing Twitter, whether it's doing articles on our Neon Sports site, or even creating your own shows for WFL or doing some other things. We offer points that you can accrue towards getting some perks that we don't offer in other avenues. Anything that increases the WFL's presence in the Madden community can earn you some credit. I've put a link to the incentive plan in the description below, so check that out if you're interested in trying to take part in the incentive plan. You can also find the incentive plan by using Couchbot commands in our Discord in any channel you like. The second thing I want to bring to your attention is the end of season survey. And now I realize it's only week 10 now at this point. We actually just advanced before I started the show and didn't want to rewrite the script. We are just a little over the halfway point now in week 10, but these weeks can go by pretty quick. So I want to make sure you're aware of the end of season survey. In the WFL, every season we have a survey. It is voluntary that we ask owners to fill out, and we're starting this season offering 10 incentive points just for filling out the survey. And I want to kind of go over a little bit about what that entails. It is voluntary, so you don't have to do it at all if you choose not to. These surveys, the only person that actually looks at these surveys is myself. No one else except me has access to these surveys. And we have done these surveys in the past iteration of WFL for the 13 or 14 season. We ran over 4 to 5 Maddens. And I felt like it was a pretty successful operation. Essentially what it boils down to is you answer a series of questions about the WFL rated on a scale of 1 to 5. And essentially, if you can't rate us a 5, just tell us why you can't rate us a 5 and be honest with your feedback, because the only way we can't, or the only way we get better as a league is if we know what we're not doing well. So please feel free to let us know. I want to make sure that everyone's opinion is heard every season, even if it's not favorable to WFL. My job here is to make the WFL the best league it can be, and sometimes that means having tough conversations about what we're not doing well. But overall, the survey I feel like is a good thing for everyone in the league because it makes your feedback matter. And without good owners, we don't have a good league, and that's what it boils down to. Now that we've got those housekeeping notes out of the way, because I don't have too many for tonight, we're going to go over some Week 9 user versus user games. I'm not going to talk any sim games or anything like that. So pull up the first game, and the first game is the Chiefs with a new owner. Jumped to 3-6 on the season. Been a little disappointing for the Kansas City Chiefs, but they romp the now 4-5. Almost said Oakland. Wow, that was back a little bit. Las Vegas Raiders 42-13. In this game, it was story of turnovers. Derek Carr 15 of 27, 235 yards, had a touchdown, but 4 interceptions on the day, while Patrick Mahomes went 16 of 21 for 229 yards and 3 touchdowns. No interceptions. The run game was also stout for the Chiefs as Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 17 carries for 106 yards and a touchdown, and rookie Sincere McCormick had 12 carries for 60 yards and 2 touchdowns on the day for the Chiefs. Receiving wise, Travis Kelce had the most receptions with 4, but a decent spread with Mecole Hardman, Noah Gray at tight end, Clyde Edwards-Helaire all had 3 receptions, with Mecole Hardman and Travis Kelce getting 2 of the 3 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill had 2 catches for 24 yards and a touchdown. Not a lot of long yardage threats. Mecole Hardman had those 3 catches for 62 yards. But otherwise, a very nice, balanced, low-key attack there for the Kansas City Chiefs passing offense. Defensively for the Chiefs, you had Tyquan Lewis and Derek Nadi with sacks of Derek Carr on the day, and you had L'Jarius Sneed with 2 interceptions, Mike Hughes with an interception, and Dorian O'Daniel with an interception of Derek Carr on the day. For the Raiders, we'll start at the defense. Trevon Mooring at free safety had the lead in tackles with 8. Max Crosby had the lone sack for the Raiders defense, and unfortunately no interceptions to speak of, so this defense had a tough time slowing down this vaunted Chiefs attack. Brian Edwards leads the way with 5 catches for 57 yards in the passing game. Josh Jacobs 10 carries for 52 yards to lead the rushers in the loss by the Raiders. So that's a tough loss for the Raiders. Good win for the Chiefs as they, like I said, they get a new owner and immediately make an impact in the AFC West. Next game on the docket, if it'll pull up. Come on. There we go. 24-17 Cardinals make it to 500 over the Buccaneers, who fall to 4-5 on the year. Kyler Murray 18 of 33, 206 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions on the day. Running game was bested by Jerome Ford, 14 carries, 117 yards, and a touchdown, with James Conner getting some backup duty, 3 carries for 13 yards, and the other rushing touchdown for the Cardinals. Christian Kirk leads in receptions with 5 catches for 65 yards, but the lone touchdown goes to Max Williams at tight end, 3 catches and 29 yards. DeAndre Hopkins relatively silent, 3 catches, 33 yards on the day, no touchdowns. Defensively for the Cardinals, no sacks on the day for the Cardinals defense, but they do pick up 5 interceptions, 1 from Budda Baker, 1 from Byron Murphy, 2 from Nickel Roby Coleman, and 1 from Trent McDuffie. So a tough game there for rookie Sam Howell and the Buccaneers as they fall again to 4-5. Sam Howell goes 17 of 26, 272 yards, so a little bit of yardage there. 2 touchdowns, but 5 really, really hardcore interceptions. Hard to overcome that kind of turnover differential. Saquon Barkley, 15 carries, 75 yards. Marlon Mack, 4 carries, 18 yards. And on the receiving side, Scotty Miller had 1 big play, but it didn't go for a touchdown. Had a 66-yard bomb catch. Gronkowski gets 5 catches for 64 yards. The 2 touchdowns were received by Mike Evans on 3 for 58 and Alan Lazard on 4 for 37. Defensively, no sacks for the Buccaneers defense. Sean Murphy-Bunting leads the team in tackles with 4 this game. Nick Needham, Jamel Dean, and Jordan Whitehead get the 3 interceptions of Kyler Murray, but it wasn't enough to overcome the Cardinals as they win 24-17. I flip over. Hey, look, we got some folks tuned in. Sweet. Appreciate you tuning in, guys. I'll try and keep an eye on the chat as I can. So we go to the next game. We've got the what I think was probably a pretty solid game between the Packers and the Patriots. And the Packers are proven to be a solid team, moving to 6-3 on the season as it's a barn burner, 35-32 over the now 4-4 at 500 Patriots. Patriots did try to come back late. Looks like Mac Jones, 32 of 46, 456 yards, doing everything he could to get his Patriots the dub, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be due to 4 costly interceptions, but 3 touchdowns does kind of help even the ledger out somewhat. Damian Harris, 13 carries, 64 yards, and a touchdown to aid the Patriots' ground game. Hunter Henry and Damian Harris each had 7 receptions. Hunter Henry had himself a ball game, 7 catches, 187 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Jonnu Smith on the other side, 4 catches, 70 yards. A lot of work from the tight ends and dump down game to Damian Harris. Leading wide receiver was Chris Olave, 4 catches for 60 yards. Lone touchdown other than Hunter Henry's 2 through the air was to Jacoby Myers, 5 catches for 35 yards. So did a pretty solid job of spreading the ball around to a certain extent, but you could tell whenever crunch time hit, looking for Henry or looking to dump it down to Harris. Patriots defense, Devondre Campbell leads with 8 tackles on the day. J.C. Jackson picks up the lone interception. No sacks from the Patriots defense on this contest. Aaron Rodgers, still being Aaron Rodgers, 13 of 19, 221 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 pick on the day. Aaron Jones, 12 carries, 53 yards, and A.J. Dillon had 6 carries for 15 yards and a close quarters touchdown for the rushing attack. Isaiah Likely, remember the name, rookie tight end, 6 catches, 143 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the contest. Fullback love, Colin Gillespie, 3 catches, 21 yards, and a touchdown to get the Packers their 3 scores through the air. Defensively, a pick 6 for Eric Stokes to go with his 5 tackles to lead the day out of the secondary. Pretty impressive. Adrian Amos, Darnell Savage, Rasul Douglas also had interceptions on the day. Had a couple of deflections there from Amos and Savage as well. So solid play by the Packers secondary in a very close, very tough contest, but the Packers prevail 35-32. Next on the docket, we have the Colts. And lots of new ownership, I will say, as we moved from week 9 or moved into week 9, had a lot of turnover in a positive manner. We had a Colts fan take over the Colts in Juke. We had our previous Colts owner, Polio, move to his favorite team, the Vikings. He didn't want to because of Kirk Cousins, but he has finally been swayed to move. We had some rearranging of the Texans and Cardinals swapped around to allow some guys that are buddies in real life to be able to play each other a couple times a year. So we did have some turnover, but in the good way, the way I don't mind having turnover. And this is an example of 2 guys that are brand new to their teams, but one of them is definitely a fan. The Colts go to 5-4 on the year, beating the Texans 26-21 to drop the Texans to 5-4 on the year. Jameis Winston goes 19 of 28 for 232 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Jonathan Taylor, a monster, relatively well contained in this game. 17 carries, only 51 yards, but did have a touchdown. Melvin Gordon, his backup, 5 carries for 26 yards. Receiving, Dalton Schultz, tight end, 8 catches, 142 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Amari Cooper, again, relatively silent, 5 catches, only 29 yards. Both touchdowns go to the tight end Schultz in the passing game. And defensively, Bobby Okereke leads the team in tackles this game with 5. Kenny Moore, Darius Leonard, Kari Willis, Steven Nelson each get interceptions. of Deshaun Watson on the day. And 4 sacks from the defense. Akeem Hicks monstering from the interior with 2 sacks. EJ Speed had a sack, as well as Matthew Adams for the Colts. For the Texans, Deshaun Watson had himself a little bit of a rough game. New owner always has growing pains, especially with a different style quarterback. Deshaun Watson will bounce back, I feel like. 16 of 29, 229 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 4 interceptions. The tandem of Fournette and Mostert netted just over 100 yards. Fournette, 8 carries, 76 yards, and the lone rushing touchdown. Mostert, 8 carries for 28 yards. Receiving wise, David Njoku led the team. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He did not lead the team in receptions. He led the team in yardage. 4 catches, 71 yards. Isaiah McKenzie at wide receiver had 5 catches for 49 yards, but the stud, Brandon Cooks, caught the ball twice. Both of them were for touchdowns, unfortunately in a losing effort. Defensively, Sheldrick Redwine, 9 tackles to lead all defenders on both sides or both teams. Eric Wilson at middle linebacker had himself a sack, as well as Chandler Jones at outside linebacker. Marcus Jones at corner had the second interception. Jaquan Brisker at strong safety had the second interception of Jameis Winston in this game. Looks like it was a tight contest, but the Colts prevail and get themselves above 500, 26-21. Next game on the docket. Oh boy, I get to talk about this one. Saints fall to the Falcons once again, 20-16. They fell in week 1 when they didn't have a quarterback. Taysom Hill had a rough game week 1 against the Falcons. The Falcons owner Studley leaves for a couple of weeks to take care of a secondary league, or take care of at one time his main league. League folds, he comes back. The Falcons are still open. He comes back, and he does exactly what he did the first time. Beats the Saints. Saints fall to 4-4. Falcons move to 5-4 on the year, and it looks like the Saints still don't have a quarterback because Daniel Jones in this game could not hit water from the beach if he was standing in the ocean. 14 of 26, 150 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Taysom Hill in spot duty had 2 passes, both of which were incomplete. Alvin Kamara had a nice game running the rock for the most part. 13 carries, 76 yards, and a touchdown. Kalen Ballage had 4 carries for 23 yards to kind of help keep pace, but did not get a whole lot of help from the passing game. Michael Thomas, 3 catches for 47 yards. Troutman, 4 catches for 33 yards. Taysom Hill actually caught a couple of passes, 2 catches for 17 yards. So Taysom Hill proving his Swiss Army knife usage. Malik Hooker led the team in tackles with 8. Demario Davis and Peyton Turner got the sacks on Matt Ryan of the day. And the only bright spot really for the entire Saints team, Paulson Adebo picks off a pass and takes it to the house for 6 of the Saints' 16 points. So you can kind of get an idea. We also had a safety in there as well from Peyton Turner. That sack was the sack he had was a safety. Matt Ryan, 17 of 21, 198 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Kept it short, kept it safe. Cordero Patterson, 9 carries for 50 yards. Kyron Williams, 13 carries for 49 yards. Very nice 1-2 duo he has with Patterson and Williams back there in the backfield. Kyle Pitts led the way with 5 catches for 89 yards and 1 touchdown. Russell Gage had 2 catches for 37 yards, a touchdown. Big story in this game. Calvin Ridley, after 1 catch, goes down with an injury. Believe broken ribs. He is out for the next couple of weeks, so going to be tough to replace that kind of productivity. You're going to have to get some spot help from Gage and from Tyquan Thornton and maybe Traquan Smith, former Saint. All of them had catches in this ball game as well. Defensively, Foyesade Oluokun, I'm butchering the name on that, led the team in tackles. No sacks on the day for the Falcons defense, which is kind of a surprise. Richie Grant had the lone interception in the red zone of Daniel Jones. So tough day for the Saints offense. Just really could not get anything going in the passing game. Managed to keep it close with tough defense and a pick 6. But ultimately fall to the Falcons 20-16. Always rough to lose to the Fell Clowns. Washington Commanders in this game, football team, but the Commanders moved to 7-1 on the season as they take the Vikings to the woodshed and 1-7. 37-12 was the final here. Carson Wentz having himself a day, just dropping bombs. 13 of 17, 301 yards, only 1 touchdown, but Did throw for 301 yards, so average of about 18 yards at a completion. So pretty nice numbers there. Antonio Gibson, 14 carries for 86 yards and a touchdown, and converted wide receiver T.Y. Hilton, making his short yardage presence known. 8 carries, 14 yards, but did have 2 touchdowns on the day. Devontae Adams led the team with yardage for 86 yards on 3 catches, 1 touchdown. Antonio Gibson, though, had 4 catches for 77 yards. Everyone else on the team had 2 catches or less on the day. Defensively, looks like the lone interception was for Kyler Gordon. And looks like no sacks on the day for the Washington football team. That stout front seven did not get enough pressure on the Vikings, which is, I guess you could say, a good thing for the Minnesota Vikings, who didn't have a whole lot of good happen, it looks like, in this game. 37-12 is a rough score. Kirk Cousins looks like he didn't have himself a bad ball game, though. 16 of 30, 182 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Dalvin Cook had a rough day running the rock. 10 carries, 42 yards. Alexander Madison, 6 carries for 22 yards. Justin Jefferson was the main target, 5 catches for 79 yards for Cousins, but the only one with a touchdown was Adam Thielen, 3 catches for 40 yards there. So defensively, looks like Daniel Hunter and Justin Hollins got sacks on the day of Carson Wentz. Couldn't remember, which is actually funny because in real life, Carson Wentz is now the Commanders quarterback. So just a case of Madden actually mimicking real life there. Eric Kendricks led the Vikings defense with 5 tackles on the day. And that pretty much finishes up that ball game right there. Steelers, another kind of high-scoring affair, one-sided affair, so to speak. 38-14 was the final as the Steelers moved to a game above 500. The Ravens fall to a game below 500. Kenny Pickett, the rookie out of Pitt, enjoying his time in Pittsburgh. 17 of 23, 248 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. D'Ernest Johnson had himself a ball game. 20 carries, 112 yards, 3 touchdowns on the day. Derek Watt had 5 carries for 30 yards as well. Pat Freiermuth had 3 receptions for 101 yards out of the tight end spot. But Deontay Harris, another Saints cast off going to the Steelers. 4 catches, 48 yards, and 1 of 2 touchdowns from Pickett. Chase Claypool gets the other one on 3 catches for 26 yards. Terrell Edmonds at strong safety led the team in tackles. Devin Bush and Cameron Haywood got sacks on the day. And Minkah Fitzpatrick had himself a ball game as well. Wish I could give out multiple AFC players of the podcast because I probably would have. I found one in this game. It wasn't Minkah, though, but he could have been one. 3 interceptions on the day. Man, that's himself a ball game right there. Lamar Jackson, 20 of 33, 211 yards, 3 interceptions, all to Minkah Fitzpatrick, and 1 touchdown on the day. J.K. Dobbins could not get the rock rolling. 11 carries, only 16 yards. The lone big play in the rushing game was Lamar Jackson with a 20-yard romp. Mark Andrews was the stud in the passing game. 8 carries, 110 yards. No other receiver had more than 4. Let's see. Sacks, we have Tavon Young and Devontae Wyatt had sacks on the day. Marcus Peters at corner led the team in tackles. And Brandon Stevens at safety and Marlon Humphrey at corner had the 2 interceptions of Kenny Pickett on the day. But overall, just a nice, solid Steelers win. Looks like they ran the rock well, and D'Ernest Johnson just kind of took it to the house, and Minkah Fitzpatrick helped keep it away. So, good game there for the Steelers. Another tight game as my cats start to fight now. So, hold on a second. That's what they say. Anything can happen when you go live. So we have the Dolphins and Bears, another very well-played contest. The Bears moved to 5-3 on the year, taking out the 4-1 Dolphins. 34-27 was your final. Tua Tagovailoa, 24 of 37, 413 yards, and still managed to come up on the short end of the stick. That is tough. 3 touchdowns, but 4 interceptions on the day. 4 interceptions will do just about anybody in. Kenneth Walker, guy who I tagged as a player of the podcast a couple weeks ago, did not have a great game here. 16 carries, only 40 yards for the young man out of Michigan State. Mike Gesicki, 3 catches, 140 yards. John Mechie III, 6 catches, 102 yards. Mechie had 2 touchdowns. Gesicki had 1. Devontae Parker had 6 carries, 6 catches for 74 yards. I am guessing that Waddle is injured or was injured in this game because usually that's a big target there for Ross. I'm guessing he was injured, hence why Mechie was in the ball game. Mechie had himself a ball game with Waddle down, so maybe that's well, Waddle's an Alabama boy. There's no chance that he's going to get out of the lineup, but hey, maybe more of a chance to start Mechie around there. Play him at third wide receiver. I don't know. Xavier Howard and Levi Wallace had interceptions of Justin Fields on the day. Jerome Baker led the team with tackles with 5. No sacks from the Dolphins defense of Justin Fields on this contest. Speaking of Fields for the Bears, 10 of 18, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and under 100 yards. Wow, under 100 yards and scored 34 points. That is impressive indeed. David Montgomery, 15 carries, 80 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the day. Let's say evening since I'm talking about Smash. So I'll just say evening to everybody. We'll just keep that up. 15 carries, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns. Tariq Cohen, 3 carries for 32 yards. Receiving wise, no receiver caught more than 2 passes. Wasn't a whole lot of passing to speak of here. Allen Robinson led in yardage with 38 yards on 2 catches. Defensively, looks like we had a pick 6 from Jalen Johnson and 2 interceptions for Johnson on the day. 1 for Brandon Smith, 1 for Monte Nicholson. Eddie Jackson led the team in tackles with 5. And the lone sack goes to, of course, Khalil Mack. So it looks like this was a tight ball game. Not really sure how the points came in because I don't see a whole lot of points to be had here, but there was points to be had apparently. 34-27 was your final. Looked like it was a pretty solid game for the Dolphins passing attack, and the Bears just managed to hang on, I guess, more than anything. Browns 21, Bills 9. So another low-scoring contest. The Browns moved to 3-5 with the dub. Bills fall to 6-3 with the loss. Baker Mayfield, 15 of 20, 186 yards and an interception. The lone touchdown was thrown by Anthony Schwartz. I'm curious how that happened. I'm guessing that was some kind of jet touch pass or something, maybe a wildcat pass or something. I'm not sure. It lists him as 1 of 1 for 0 yards, so I don't know how that worked. But either way, Nick Chubb, 19 carries, 78 yards, and a touchdown. Kareem Hunt had 2 carries for 16 yards and the other rushing touchdown. Isaiah Spiller also ran the rock 7 times for 49 yards. Austin Hooper and Harrison Bryant, both tight ends, both had 4 receptions, over 100 yards combined between them. Hooper had 70, Bryant had 41. The lone touchdown, however, goes to Baker Mayfield. Oh, it was a Philly special. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, has to be the Philly special. That's the only thing I could think of that would cause Baker Mayfield to catch the touchdown pass. John Johnson III, 6 tackles at the free safety spot. The lone interception, Grant Delpit at strong safety. Sacks come from Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I'm butchering that name too. Olivier Vernon, Sion Takitaki, and Vashon Joseph. Vashon Joseph did not have a sack. I'm sorry. Just Takitaki, Vernon, and Owusu-Koramoah had sacks on the day for the Browns defense. For the Bills offensively, looks like they had a solid offensive game, just could not put touchdowns on the board. Josh Allen did get a touchdown through the air, though, 16 of 24, 224 yards. Did have an interception as well. Devin Singletary, 7 carries, only 28 yards. Josh Allen had 4 carries for 29 yards. No rushing touchdowns to speak of. The lone touchdown passing was to Cole Beasley, 2 receptions, 54 yards. Stephon Diggs, 4 catches, 66 yards. Devin Singletary also had 6 catches for 46 yards. Tremaine Edmonds, 5 tackles on the day to lead the Bills defense. 1 sack came from A.J. Epineza, and 1 interception came from Chandon Sullivan in the 21-9 low-scoring affair in favor of the Cleveland Browns. And last game on the docket, another barn burner, another solid game that when you look at the stats, it's hard to visualize how it came together, but Eagles do fall to 1-7. Tough year for Coach Dunn coming in, playing in this league against one of our better users, Coach Clyde there, and the Giants moved to 6-2, 38-34 though. Clyde had to work for this one. Jalen Hurts did not have a great game. He did have almost 300 yards passing on 18 of 33. 1 touchdown but 5 interceptions, and yet he was only down by 4. Imagine if he didn't have that many interceptions. Eagles rushing attack, Miles Sanders 18 for 51 and 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Gainwell also had a touchdown on 5 attempts for 16 yards. Receiving wise, Jake Ferguson at tight end, 4 catches for 65 yards. Will Fuller led the team in yards with 89 on 3 catches. Devontae Smith, 4 catches for 63 yards. Defensively for the Eagles, TJ Edwards had 6 tackles to lead the team. Sacks came from Marcus Davenport, a kid that got traded from the Saints this past offseason. Interceptions from Davian Taylor, Andrew Booth, and Darius Slay on the day helped keep pace for the Eagles. I was looking to see if they had any pick sixes. It does not look like they did. So they came by it and earned it. Carson Strong for the Giants, a little bit of a rough outing, 15 of 31, 276 yards. He did have 3 touchdowns, but also had 3 interceptions. The run game was non-existent for the Giants. 7 carries for 16 yards for Kene and Wangwu. Wow, I butchered that name too. Did have a touchdown though. Tyler Huntley at quarterback, guess did some kind of read option. 1 lone carry, but did get a touchdown on the lone carry. Puka Williams had 2 carries for 9 yards. Rashad White, 11 carries, only 7 yards. So really tough. So that tells me how the Eagles kind of kept in it, stopped the run and try and defend the pass, and they did a decent enough job of defending the pass. Giants receiving touchdowns go to Caden Smith at tight end, 4 for 75. Sterling Shepard, 4 for 61. And Kenny Galladay, 2 for 25. All 3 of those receivers got touchdowns on the day. Darius Slayton, however, led the team in yards with 84 yards on 3 receptions. C.J. Mosley, 6 tackles to lead Giants defenders. And Leonard Williams and O'Shawn Zimenez get sacks on the day. Xavier McKinney, Adoree Jackson each get 2 interceptions of Jalen Hurts, and Julian Love comes down with the 5th and final one to ice the game for the Giants in a 4-point dub as they continue to try and get dominance in the NFC East. So that pretty much does it for our games from Week 9. And like I said, there was a lot of games for Week 9. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and do this live because I didn't actually set this up beforehand. So bear with me here a minute as I kind of pull up, and let me get this set up here. Let's see. I need my browser. No, don't need browser. Just need window capture. So we'll do that. There we go. Boom. So that's up on the screen now. So you can see we're looking at you can disregard the players of the week. I got my own players of the podcast. They'll be mine. So looking at the AFC, and this is the way too early to predict playoff picture. So we're not going to put a whole lot of stake into this, but kind of getting a look-see at the teams that are in right now. Right now, Cincinnati leads the entire AFC with a 6-2 record. Buffalo is there in the 2nd seed at 6-3, leading the AFC East. The LA Chargers are 5-3-1, leading the AFC West. Houston Texans are 5-4, leading the AFC South. Indy is right there at 5-4. I would not be surprised if in game these two were swapped, especially with their head-to-head. But Indy is right there on the bubble as a wild card at 5-4. The second wild card belongs to Denver at this point, also 5-4 out of the AFC West, and Pittsburgh 5-4 out of the AFC North. I almost said NFC North. Sorry about that, guys. So really tough division, and Pitt's not far out of the AFC North lead. They're just 1 game back. Looking at this, you got New England 4-4. They're 2 games back of Buffalo. Miami is a game and a half back of Buffalo. So these 2 teams, especially, I've seen a little bit of video, watched a little bit of film of Rimster, the coach of the Patriots, and I know Ross from other leagues as well as this one. He will get it together and get a good stout run game going. This being early in the cycle for our league, he's still working on building his team up the way he likes. And then you got 10 spot, you got Las Vegas sitting there at 4-5. They're right there, but they do have a Chiefs team that just got a new owner. So there could be some heat coming up there. So Las Vegas will have to get it together and kind of make a strong push down the finish to kind of get in the picture of getting off the bubble and getting in the top 7 in the AFC. In the NFC, we have a couple of class teams at the top three. Washington and the Commanders at 7-1. San Francisco, the 49ers, also at 7-1. Coach, that dude always has a good team, always plays well. Doesn't matter what the settings are, I feel like he always seems to have a good record. Anytime he's ever been in WFL, he always seems to have a good team and a good squad going. And then Meek Boy and the Green Bay Packers, 6-3. A little bit I've watched and heard of him. He seems to have a really good squad going. Atlanta currently leading the NFC South at 5-4. Then you have the Giants, who are just on the outside looking in at 6-2. They're the first wild card. Even though Coach Cly has a really good squad going, he's still looking up at the Commanders. Chicago looking up at Green Bay. Only a game back, though. Both the Giants and Bears are only a game back in their respective divisions. And the Saints, my Saints, are a game back of the Falcons. If we can just get a quarterback that can play and get us to 20 points. The defense of the Saints is really holding us firm. If we can score 20 points before our opponent scores 20, we'll probably win. And if they score 20 before us, we're not coming back. We just don't have the quarterback play. Daniel Jones was traded for, not really the answer, unfortunately. Looking in free agency to pick up a guy, thinking about starting Desmond Ridder, the rookie out of Cincinnati. So we got a lot of things going on in New Orleans, and the fact that we're 500 is a miracle in and of itself. Bubble-wise, you have the Cardinals at 4-4, who are 3 games back currently of the 49ers. They're going to have to kind of find their groove. They've been a CPU team for a lot of the year. They just got taken over by our former Texans owner, Chess. He's moved over from Houston to the Cardinals to accommodate some rivalry play, so we appreciate that. We always appreciate when guys are willing to move for the betterment of the league. So he'll have some work to do, but he played well when he was in Houston. He had a mobile quarterback in Deshaun Watson. He's got one again in Kyler Murray, so I don't think his offense needs to change much. Dallas, poor Steve, 4-4, and if he ever figures it out, he'll be really, really good, because that Dallas team has got a lot of talent. But he's a good guy. I love him to death. And then Seattle is a CPU team. They're 4-4, and because of our rules as far as force wins, they should be fading. So we should see another user team get pushed into the top 10 relatively shortly, hopefully, with the Seattle Seahawks being a CPU team. So I think Arizona is going to bounce up. I think the Saints are going to fall back because, again, with no quarterback play, it's just going to be real tough to keep pace with a lot of good teams in the top end of this conference. So that's our really, really ridiculously too early to look playoff picture. As I'm going to turn it back off. Boop. There we go. Done and done. Let's see. Okay. Let's get to looking at some of this. Okay, yeah, so I was right about Jalen Waddle. He got hurt during the game, I guess. Who are my predictions for OPOTY? Offensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. Well, to be fair, I haven't honestly looked at much of the stats yet. It's still kind of early, but to be fair, I looked at the playoff picture. So let's see if I can pull up. I'll tell you what we'll do. I'll bring the browser back for a second. Boop. We'll look right now. So Offensive Player of the Year. I would the Jets with Zach Wilson. If the Jets make a run and get up a record, I could see that being a thing. Justin Herbert's been pretty solid user wise. Matt Ryan, don't sleep on Matt Ryan. Studley plays really good ball with Matt Ryan. He may have a noodle arm, at least in game, but Matt Ryan can play ball. The only thing that might hurt Matt Ryan is Studley left for a couple weeks, so some of this is CPU play. But if he can keep up those numbers and keep kind of pushing forward, I could see Matt Ryan. Christian McCaffrey's another good candidate. If Carolina can kind of get going, I think that's the big thing, is if a lot of these players that are kind of high up in stats are going to be rough as far as win-loss. And for me, that kind of matters personally. I mean, I don't vote on these things. We do have a Associated Press that the league will vote those particular owners, will actually vote on some of these things. So while my opinion is nice, it's their opinion that's going to ultimately matter. I could see Rookie of the Year wise. I mean, like Isaiah Likely, I know is a kid that's could get some love as far as the offensive Rookie of the Year. I don't think there's really any other rookies that come to mind. Likely was the one that came to mind first, so I'd probably say him. Defensively, I always like Aaron Donald. Could look at some guys that were making interceptions. Kendall Fuller, I mean, that's somebody you might want to consider. 6 interceptions for the Washington football team / Commanders, and they're 7-1. That kind of lends some credence in my book. Kenny Moore also with 6 picks. Xavier Howard with 6 picks, but I'd probably lean on Fuller if I was going to look at interceptions. Sack-wise, again, Carolina gets hurt by their record. Minnesota really hurt by their record, but Daniel Hunter's having a really good year. Donald's having a good year for him at his age. Nick Bosa's kind of down there, but if he can get it cranked up a little bit and get in the top end of these sacks, getting top 3, top 2, I could see Nick Bosa doing something too. So I would say rookie probably right now, just looking at these stats, would be Likely, but without diving into the stats, it's hard for me to say. Jets sitting at 4-5 now after an 0-5 start. Yeah, Kobe. I mean, you're starting to kind of in the other league you play in. I know it's a lesser, it's all pro, and it's competitive competition. I can't remember what the darn setting is. And we play all Madden simulation, so it's an adjustment period for that too. So, but I kind of had faith you would turn it around. To be fair, I didn't have any doubt that you would not do well once you kind of figured stuff out here. So I didn't have any doubt personally. So, and I think I will say I like the AFC East as far as I know 3 of the 4 guys there have their favorite team. Rimster and the Patriots, Ross and the Dolphins, Kobe with the Jets. I'm not sure what Tricky's favorite team is. But if he happens to be the Bills, that would be really sweet, because I do think that having a division of guys that are passionate about their team kind of just eats into the Madden side of it too. So I do dig that, and I think that's actually pretty powerful. So I do tip my cap to the Jets. I mean, Kobe, 4-5 now. I mean, you could easily sneak in there because the division is up for grabs. I mean, Buffalo just lost. To drop to 6-3. They lost to a Brown squad that has been hit and miss this year. That's why their record is 3-5, I believe. So I mean, really, I don't feel like there's a division other than maybe the NFC West that is got head and shoulders, and that's only because 2 of the teams have been CPU for a while. I think the Cardinals with Chess at the helm could make a run. The Rams have been quiet, but they've been good. That dude is kind of a step above, but I don't think he's uncatchable. So that's what I would say about that. I think all these divisions are pretty competitive. I mean, there's nobody that's like blowing the doors off and like got a huge lead on anybody else. I don't feel like, which is good for week 10. We'll see where we're at week 13 and 14. But I didn't announce? I did not announce the players of the podcast. I jumped straight to the Ask the Host segment and forgot about players of the podcast. So I'm going to jump that real quick, and then I'll take a couple extra questions if there's any there. My AFC player of the podcast, I kind of gave it away when I talked about the Steelers game. Steelers halfback, Dearness Johnson, 20 carries, 112 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he had 4 catches for 29 yards in that 38-14 win over the Ravens. Basically keeping pace. Scored 21 points by himself. Basically, my NFC player of the podcast is a kid we talked about for the Rookie of the Year race. Packers tight end Isaiah Likely. He's likely to win the Rookie of the Year if he keeps playing like this. 6 catches, 143 yards, and 2 touchdowns in that 35-32 barn burner. over the Patriots. So those are my players of the podcast for the AFC and for the NFC. Let's see if I got any more questions. Message retracted. Oh, Lordy. What did you say, Kobe? What did you say? So, but yeah, I think in case you missed it, just to kind of reiterate, programming note, next week's podcast will not be on Wednesday. It will be on Thursday. Same time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. I started this one a little early, partly on accident and partly because I am feeling the burn of the week and I'm ready for spring break for my classes. So, but I'll wait a little bit longer, see if anybody else has a question or anything. And if not, I will go to the outro and we will round this bad boy up, put a bow on it, and get to excited about week 10. My streak started with the Bills. I'm hoping to keep going through. It is hard when your morale is low. Yeah, it's hard when your morale is low. And unfortunately, Madden has taken away the ability for us to reset morale. So, lovely. Good job. So, I removed it myself for poor spelling and grammar. We don't criticize for poor spelling and grammar here. You should see the kids I have to grade stuff for. Anyway, I don't know if there's anything else I want to talk. No, I don't want to talk about that. I'm trying to think if there's anything I want to mention. There is something I do want to mention positive wise, because I'm about to end the show. I don't want to end on a downer note. Plus the other thing I'm thinking about, I'll probably just do a separate video on, not a podcast. But really, really happy with the scheduling so far, especially the last couple of weeks since we've had the influx of fresh blood and enthusiastic blood, which is always helpful. It's been really nice to see games getting put on schedule and seeing the post and seeing everybody doing it the way we want it done in the WFL. I know my schedulers, which I'm kind of one of, but I really honestly don't pay attention to it unless somebody asks me to. I kind of let my other scheduler guys kind of handle that side of the business, and I have had zero. I get tagged on everything, so I see everything anyway. But the scheduling, especially the last couple of weeks, considering that football season is over, minus combine and free agency stuff, but as far as like actual 11-on-11 pads crunching, that part of it's over. To have that level of engagement and gaining users into a league at this stage, which is unheard of for me anyway. Usually at this point, guys are boo, and I understand it. I do. We probably won't. I was hoping we might get 3 seasons in. We probably will get 2 in Madden 22. But to be fair, I wasn't planning on getting any in Madden 22. So to get 2 of them is, hey, I'll take it. Especially if we can get a good foundation of folks, which we do. I feel like we do have. I feel like we've got. Right now we're sitting at 30 users, and I feel like we'll probably finish off very, very close to that, if not right at 30. Hello, Meek Boy, the Packers coach. But yeah, scheduling the last couple of weeks has been superb. Please keep it up if you can. It's been wonderful. I'm very happy. The schedulers are very happy with it. Gameplay, I've been kind of watching random games. I've had some folks watching random games to let me know if anything's going on. So far, the only major things I've seen have been easily correctable stuff. Like watched a game where had a user that barely threw outside the numbers. It was one of those things where I think the throw started at the numbers and the animation carried it over. So I'll probably talk to that on, but it's all warnings. It's nothing hardcore. And I think the other things is just 70-30 defense and 80-20 halfback, like stuff that's easily correctable. So I'm very pleased with that too. I have not seen any major issues as far as AI manipulation and things like that, and that's good to see. That means we don't have to ban any plays or formations or anything, and we can kind of let guys be as creative as Madden will allow while still not allowing AI manipulation. So that's a positive. And you're getting started. Oh, a show about the Jets. I like this. Okay, cool deal. Um, Kobe, shoot me a link to it whenever you get rolling, bud. I'll definitely check it out. So and like I said, that incentive points. Yay! Earn incentive points the easy way. Just do a little work around WFL and you can have yourself a bunch of free stuff. But I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap up because I don't want to. I've rambled a little bit too much now. So I'm going to go ahead and probably hit the outro now, which means that I will tell you that I do appreciate the fact that you guys tuned in, whether you were live, which again, I do appreciate you guys showing up live and showing me some love. If you watch this after the fact recording, that's. Ooh, did I bump my camera? I did bump my camera. Oh, come on now. No, don't bump the camera. Okay, well. That's the problem with live shows, of course. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. So I get for bumping the wire just a little bit, Um, but let's see. I was doing the outro. I was going to say thanks for listening. If you listen live, if you watch this after the fact, watch the recording. That's always appreciated as well. I don't normally say this a lot because this is just a podcast about Madden and the WFL. But if you like the video, give it a like. Give us a subscribe. We have lots of stuff about WFL content, rule books, breakdowns of concepts like our 50% plus one rule. Some of our more complex stuff is all here on YouTube for you to break down. I just did a video on what did I just do a video on? The no switch. I did a video on no switch and I did my best user imitation as far as showing you what no switch is good and what no switch is bad for us. So you can check that out under the breakdowns playlist. Chiefsman's Corner's on there as well. So basically, if like I said, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Let us know that you appreciate the videos, that you're liking them, and we'll keep churning out content as much as we can. I believe that covers that part of it. So again, programming note one more time, just to reiterate. Next Wednesday, we will not have Chiefman's Corner. It will be on Thursday. Same time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm just going to be out of town Wednesday, so I won't be near my equipment to do Chiefman's Corner on Wednesday like I've been doing for the last 3 weeks. But it will be on Thursday, and then after this upcoming week, we should be back to a Wednesday schedule for as long as we have, as long as we're playing in the Madden cycle. And if you guys want, maybe after the Madden cycle, we can maybe do some shows, not every week, but maybe some stuff about NFL stuff. We'll see what happens. But again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching after the fact if you're watching the recording of this. And I guess for now, at least until next Thursday, guys, the corner's closed.